King of the Hill, 1968. Cadillac Eldorado versus 1969. Lincoln Continental. Mark III. At the end of the 1960s, the luxury car market was booming to the tune of about $2.5 billion, and Detroit owned it. Audis, BMWs, and Mercedes-Benzes were well-built driver's cars. But these bland-looking boxes were too small, Spartan, and harsh riding to suit well-heeled Yanks, and Jaguar was busy earning a reputation for quality lapses. So great was the demand for luxury offerings, especially personal luxury coupes and close-coupled sedans that lesser divisions of the Big Three were fielding flagships of their own. The Buick Riviera, the Olds Toronado, and even the once sporty Ford Thunderbird was becoming a limo. Cadillac and Lincoln clearly needed new blood to assert dominion over these pretenders to the throne. Cadillac decided to go cutting-edge techno with its offering. Capitalizing on more than a decade's worth of research and development in front-drive technology, GM, Chrysler, and Ford all toyed with front drive in the 1930s, with little to show for it. But by 1958, Cadillac had a running front-drive prototype with a longitudinal engine. In 1959, Cadillac launched a program to create a spiritual successor for the opulent Eldorado Brougham, with front drive and the possibility of V12 or V16 power. Accommodating such a long engine required longitudinal engine placement, rather than the transverse arrangement Olds was developing for its compact front driver at the time. Then, in 1963, GM Group Vice President Ed Cole ordered Cadillac and Olds to consolidate their front drive development and share the Buick Riviera's e-body architecture. The Olds Toronado arrived for 1966. The Cadillac trailed by a year while a new assembly line was built. Lincoln's Continental Mark III wasn't built as a hasty reaction to the Eldorado, but rather it was a Lee Iacocca brainstorm to leverage existing Thunderbird architecture and fill excess capacity in the Wixom, Michigan, plant where it was built, thereby cashing in on the personal Luxo coupe craze. The perimeter frame shares its 117.2-inch wheelbase with the four-door Bird, but the body is 6 inches longer. The passenger compartment rides farther aft on the chassis, making room for the regal 6-foot prow that provides such a strong visual link with the proportions of the Mark II and the original Continental. Working with a conventional 460 cubic inch V8 and rear drive architecture afforded Lincoln more time and resources to devote to refining its flagship. Extensive chassis reinforcements, rubber isolation of all engine and suspension mounting points, and 150 pounds of sound-deadening materials made the Mark III one of the quietest and smoothest riding cars available when it launched in April 1968. Now, Cadillac and Lincoln each had new flagships, both of which decisively overshadowed the lesser Mark pretenders. In July 1970, Motor Trend arranged a meeting of the cars that would be king. If you've got the American dream, if your goal is to move all the way up from your Biscayne station wagon, then the Lincoln Continental Mark III and the Cadillac Eldorado are the end of Status Street, King of the Hill. But which one? Hence was born a 6-year serial road test. That first comparison consisted of just 4 columns of type on 3 pages, little of which was devoted to deep analysis of the car's acceleration, braking, and handling, save for a few zingers like this. Now any clown who wants to take one of these cars to a road course and see what kind of violent under or oversteer he can force out of these immense, overly dampened, mushily sprung dinosaurs must be a little ding-a-ling. That said, the Eldorado's variable ratio steering proved more responsive, while each car's front disc rear drum brakes performed equally well, with lots of fade. In an unimaginable drag race, the 500 cubic inch 1970 Eldorado edged the Mark III out by 0.4 second to 60 minutes. Our comparison dwelled more on the luxury aspects of the two cars, finding the Eldorado's seats to be roomier but more fatiguing on long hauls, its gauges and switches easier to read and use, but less opulent-looking, and its ride crisper and less luxurious. We crowned the Mark III King of the Hill owing to its superior plushness and luxury. That original comparison test generated bags of impassioned reader comment. So when Cadillac reskinned the Eldo for 1971, we reprised our King of the Hill comparo. The new styling didn't strike us as an improvement, and in most critical measures the cars shook out similarly. The fit, finish, and build quality of the Lincoln outshone the Cadillacs, and the Mark III still comes off like the family that has lived gracefully for years with its money, while the Eldo feels like nouveau riche, trying so hard to tell the world it's wealthy. Long live King Lincoln. For 1972, the Mark III was replaced by the larger, even cushier Mark IV, and we devised an elaborate tech-heavy four-part analysis. Part 1 involved a week of in-town driving and an 800-mile road trip, during which the Eldorado offered laudable straight-line stability in contrast with the Mark IV's squirmy yaw on the freeway. Less fatiguing seats cinched the Eldo's lead in this segment. Next, we examined resale value, Advantage Lincoln, repair, records, tie, interior space, Eldo best in front, Mark best in back, and noise levels, tie, and called the round a draw. Part 3 involved instrumented performance testing, which the Eldorado won decisively. Part 4 was a staff straw poll on styling, which the Lincoln swept almost unanimously, but having won 2 of the 4 categories, the Cadillac succeeded in seizing the King's crown from Lincoln. Both cars were largely carried over in 1973, so we devoted the pages to a State of the Luxury Car Union address, noting that while the strong-performing Cadillac retained its crown, the posh and stylish Lincoln was winning the sales war. Maybe we were losing interest. But our 1974 installment in the drama was so mired in a painful Knights of the Round Table thematic device that details are difficult to mine. But while the Eldorado got better gas mileage, the Mark IV was now faster, and it still rode smoother, and so it won back the crown. Our final installment was renamed the King's Ransom Road Test, and was expanded to include a Chrysler Imperial Coupe. The story also included a parallel test of the top sedans from BMW, Jaguar, and Mercedes-Benz. On the domestic side, the Mark IV was deemed quietest, the Eldorado the quickest, and the Imperial the best in handling and braking. The official winner? None of the above. Our editors had caught a whiff of the svelte new Eurofirm Cadillac Seville, and even though it wasn't tested, we predicted it would be the new king of both hills. How have the original contenders for the crown stood the test of time? To answer the question, Sandy Edelstein and Scott King bought one of each, both built with the rare vinyl top delete options, and let us take them for a spin. The cars are in exceptional condition, and each has a unique character. The Cadillac's sharp-edged design is by far the most interesting to new millennium eyes, while the Continental Mark III, especially in steel-topped guise, harks faithfully to the fabulous Mark II. Both cars accelerate effortlessly, with little audible report from the engine room. Neither offers even a modicum of steering feel or feedback, but the Cadillac responds to its helm more quickly and directly, and its brakes seem less vague and remote. The Eldorado's suspension filters out less of the road's rumbles and bumps, leaving a slightly crusty ride quality. By contrast, the Lincoln approximates a wheeled isolation tank as closely as any 1969 car ever did. It wafts over road imperfections without squeaking or rattling, though this may say more about its low mileage, 34,000 to the Eldo's 86,000, than about its original assembly quality. The view down each car's immense hood certainly puts one in an imperial frame of mind. The Cadillac's bow is dominated by a coffin-shaped central bulge. The Mark's is bordered by chrome-topped fences. The Eldorado's minimalist interior furnishings, though dressed up with real wood accents, can't compare with the Lincoln's classy Neo-Duesenberg cabin. After a day spent swapping back and forth between the cars, The descent from the high desert above Palm Springs in the Mark III with the AC cranked and Old Blue Eyes crooning through the 245/30 Stereosonic AM 8-track 5-speaker hi-fi validated our original decision, so we hereby recrown the Lincoln Continental Mark III, king of the 1969 to 1970 Hill, 1968. Cadillac Eldorado, the stillborn king. Would the edgy Eldorado have been crowned king with a V12 or V16 snuggled under that mile-long hood? Sure seems likely, and it almost happened. One idea was to marry two small-block V8s to form a 530 cube V16. This concept received little development, but GM engineering staff progressed through several generations of development and durability. Testing of a 500 cubic inch 90-degree SOHC 24-valve V12 with 30-degree offset crankshaft pins. Few details have ever been released about this so-called V-Future engine that was intended to proliferate throughout the Cadillac range, starting with the Eldorado. Early versions of the aluminum block engine had iron cylinder liners, but later iterations employed an innovative die casting of high silicon aluminum intended to run without sleeves. On second thought, maybe it's just as well that this technology was tested on the Vega. 1969 Lincoln Continental. Mark III, the IV door. The Mark III was a runaway sales success, outselling the original Continental and Mark II combined before the end of 1968 and besting Eldorado sales by 20%. Might Lincoln have moved even more metal with a four-door? An early prototype of a reskinned Thunderbird was shot down, but another true Mark III four-door is rumored to have been built, possibly for Henry Ford II. Little is known about that car, but word of its existence may have leaked out to Martin Marietta. Boss Grover Herman, he contacted Ford to request a four-door Mark of his own. Ford farmed the work out to Lehman Peterson and Maloney Coachworks, who charged $13,325 to stretch the body and frame 7.3 inches and custom-fit suicide doors, adding over 700 pounds. Current owner Phil G.D. Schaefer reports that the body remains as tight and quiet as a coupe's. Ask the guys who own them. Mortgage. Broker Sandy Edelstein and automotive product specialist Scott King collect coupes large, 1958 Caddy, and small, Honda N600, none of which has a vinyl top. Why we like them. We both grew up around Cadillacs, and the cutting-edge style of the first-gen front-drive Eldorado really imprinted on us. The Lincoln was irresistibly gorgeous, and with the ultra-rare steel top, it seemed the perfect match for our Eldorado. Why they're collectible? Each was the flagship, not only of its mark, but of its parent corporation. The Eldorado pushed the technological and styling envelopes. The Continental Mark III aimed to reprise the opulence and build quality of the 1956-1957. Mark II, restoring, maintaining. Production volumes were relatively high, and most parts are readily available from multiple sources. So who is the king of the hill? Then, as long as there are Eldorado and Mark III owners around, cigar sales will continue to go up, and no one will ever agree. The Eldorado has a lot of seemingly more advanced technical conveniences, but from a strictly plush, posh luxury standpoint, the Mark III has the intimacy a car like this should offer. Bill Sanders, Motor Trend, July 1970. Now, the Lincoln Continental and Cadillac Eldorado were built in a golden age before emissions, and safety regs strangled engines and hamstrung car designers, yet after air conditioning and disc brakes were popularized. So in many ways, no future car can hope to ever achieve the style and panache of these kings of the hill. Welcome, muscle car fanatics and connoisseurs of raw, unapologetic power. Today, we're taking a thrilling ride back in time to an era when horsepower was king, displacement reigned supreme, and fuel efficiency was, well, an afterthought. Imagine the tail end of the 1960s, a period when the automotive giants roamed the earth like colossal dinosaurs, stomping around with massive V8s, sky-high compression, and an insatiable thirst for gasoline. If you lived for muscle, 1969 wasn't just a great year, it was a legendary one. And if you were a Ford loyalist, there was one particular tyrannosaur that commanded all your attention. And here it is, folks, a big block, ludicrously overpowered. Pony car, a true titan born from the asphalt. We're talking about the 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429. This very beast is now up for grabs on Bring a Trailer, offering a rare chance to own a piece of pure American automotive brutality. With over 7.0 liters of V8 fury packed under that iconic hood and a 3.91.1 rear axle, this isn't just a car, it's a tire-destroying behemoth of furious firepower, and fittingly, this T-Rex of the road sports a magnificent green finish, the Boss. 429 Mustang was truly an anomaly, a 2-year-only model built with a singular, unapologetic purpose. Only 850 fastbacks rolled off the production line for the 1969 model year, making each one a coveted piece of history. This particular example looks to be in absolutely fantastic shape, a testament to its enduring quality and a full rotisserie restoration completed over 2 decades ago. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement that Ford was serious about racing, serious about power, and serious about delivering an experience unlike any other. Prepare yourselves, because we're about to delve deeper into what makes this Boss 429. A super stang, a genuine living legend. 1969. Ford Mustang. Boss 429 on Bring a Trailer is one super stang the monster-engined. Mustang was a 2-year-only model. The Boss 429. Mustang is all V8 and no apologies. Only 850 fastbacks were made for the 1969 model year. This example looks to be in fantastic shape and boasts a great color combination. If the first fuel crisis of the 1970s was a meteor heading toward Earth, then the tail end of the 1960s was the period when the dinosaurs were still stomping around like they owned the place. Cars powered by V8s with big displacement, high compression, and a burning thirst for fuel. If you liked muscle, 1969 was a great year to be around. And if you were a Ford fan, then there was one particular tyrannosaur you had your eye on, and here it is. A big block, ludicrously overpowered pony car, a 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429, and this one is up for sale on Bring a Trailer, which, like Car and Driver, is part of Hearst Autos. With more than 7.0 liters of V8 power on board and a 3.91.1 rear axle, it's a tire-destroying behemoth of furious firepower. Also, fittingly, this T-Rex is green. Since the headline here is the saurian-sized motor, let's start with that. Displacing. 429 cubic inches, it was factory rated at 375 horsepower. Yeah, right. Quoted horsepower numbers at this time were often greatly underrated so that insurance costs wouldn't be astronomical. The transmission is a 4-speed manual, and there's a limited slip rear differential out back. The Boss 429 was sold for 2 model years only, 1969 and 1970. It was built to fulfill NASCAR's rules on homologating the 429 cubic inch V8 for racing. Carcraft, an independent Ford contractor that had worked on the GT40, was responsible for stuffing this huge motor in the front of Boss Mustangs, presumably making use of the world's largest shoehorn to do so. Besides big cubes, the Boss got a beefier suspension, power-assisted brakes with discs up front, and heavy-duty hubs and rotors. This example is a fantastic black jade green over black, and it cost just shy of $5,000 when new, a little over $40,000 in today's money. That seems like a bargain now, but it was basically double what your standard Mustang cost in 1969. With only 850 sports roof Boss 429s built for the 1969 model year, and only 162 of those in this shade of green, this is a fairly rare car. It's said to have had a full rotisserie restoration more than 20 years ago and shows very well. It's not an everyday driver collector car, more a special occasion machine with that prodigious power and thirst. But it is at least easier to live with than an actual tyrannosaur. We've all seen Jurassic Park. So there you have it, the 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429, a car that embodies the very essence of the late 1960s muscle car era, all V8 and no apologies. It wasn't just about massive displacement, it was about the engineering marvel required to shoehorn that monstrous 429 cubic inch engine into the Mustang's frame. Carcraft, the independent contractor that famously worked on the GT40, was tasked with this seemingly impossible feat, creating a legend in the process. Factory rated at a deceptive 375 horsepower, a number widely known to be underrated for insurance purposes. This car truly delivered prodigious power, channeled through a robust 4-speed manual transmission. Beyond the engine, the Boss 429 received significant upgrades: a beefier suspension to handle the immense torque, power-assisted brakes with discs up front for stopping power, and heavy-duty hubs and rotors built for performance. This particular black jade green over black example is especially rare, being one of only 162 in this stunning shade for the 1969 model year. When it was new, this automotive titan cost just shy of $5,000, which translates to a little over $40,000 in today's money. While that might seem like a bargain now, remember it was double the price of a standard Mustang in 1969, a true premium for unparalleled performance. This isn't an everyday driver, it's a special occasion machine, a collector's dream with a thirst for fuel and a roar that demands respect. As the article wisely notes, it's certainly easier to live with than an actual tyrannosaur. We've all seen Jurassic Park. The 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429 stands as a towering testament to an era of unbridled automotive ambition. It's rare, powerful, and undeniably cool. What are your thoughts on this legendary beast? Would you dare to tame this T-Rex of the road? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's most iconic muscle cars, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more thrilling automotive content, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you down the road. Welcome, adventurers, explorers, and purists of the authentic off-road experience. In a world saturated with sleek, luxurious SUVs that boast more screens than actual off-road capability, there remains a beacon of true utilitarian heritage. Today, we're setting our sights on a vehicle that defines rugged simplicity, a machine whose very silhouette conjures images of remote expeditions, untamed landscapes, and perhaps even royalty navigating the vast African plains. We're talking, of course, about the legendary Land Rover. For generations, particularly in less developed corners of our planet, the first automobile many people ever witnessed was not a glamorous sedan or a powerful truck, but a sturdy, boxy Land Rover, valiantly bouncing over unimaginable terrain. This isn't just folklore. It's a testament to their unparalleled design philosophy. These original series Land Rovers were built for purpose, rugged, disarmingly simple, and crucially, if not always perfectly reliable, then at least remarkably easy to mend with whatever scraps and ingenuity you had on hand. They were the trusty steed for anyone daring to explore far-off lands, much like the plinth helmet and khaki shorts often worn by their intrepid drivers. The design of the series Land Rover has, over the decades, become absolutely iconic. A shape so enduring that it's been endlessly imitated, yet never truly replicated in character. And while modern vehicles may draw inspiration, you simply cannot beat the raw charm and authentic spirit of an original. Which brings us to today's star, this magnificent 1970 Land Rover Series 2IA, recently featured for online auction on Bring a Trailer. This isn't just a vehicle, it's a meticulously restored slice of history, offering that stripped-down, old-school 4x4 experience that purists crave. From its unmistakable inboard headlights and rugged auxiliary jerry cans to its classic canvas roof, this Landy has everything you could ever want in a vintage expedition vehicle. It's the kind of machine that effortlessly transforms even a routine drive to pick up takeout into an exhilarating small-scale expedition. Get ready to embark on a journey into true automotive authenticity. 70 Land Rover Series 2 on Bring a Trailer is authentically old school. This vintage Landy is like something Queen Elizabeth II would have driven. Why buy an SUV inspired by classic Land Rovers when you can have the real deal? Offered for online auction by Bring a Trailer, this 1970 Land Rover Series 2 offers a stripped-down, old-school 4x4 experience, yet with overdrive it can also be driven on the highway. There are a few modern touches, including a Marshall speaker, and even cup holders. Update: this Land Rover sold on April 30th for $4,250. There's no real way to prove it as a fact, but it is said that for many people in less developed countries, the first automobile they ever saw was a boxy Land Rover bouncing over rough terrain. Rugged, simple, and if not terribly reliable, then at least easy to repair with whatever you had on hand, the original series Land Rovers were well suited for exploring far-off lands, much like the plinth helmet and khaki shorts often worn by their drivers. The design of the series Land Rover has become iconic and much imitated, but you can't beat the character and charm of an original. Something like this 1970 Land Rover Series Talioe up for auction on Bring a Trailer, which, like Car and Driver, is part of Hearst Autos. It's been comprehensively restored and has everything you want in a vintage Landy, from iconic inboard headlights to auxiliary jerry cans to a canvas roof. This is the type of vehicle that turns even a normal drive to get takeout into an expedition. The idea that Land Rover is now a luxury brand would bring a brief bark of laughter from anyone who owned a series Landy in period. They are the automotive equivalent of a Wellington boot, although occasionally less waterproof. The later series, the 3, was a little less agricultural, but this IIA is unapologetic about its basic roots, with all manner of exposed metal, rivets, wing nuts holding the windshield on, and a series of levers controlling the transfer case. Some modern conveniences have been grafted onto this classic, such as a Marshall speaker and a custom cup holder arrangement. The original owner of this Land Rover would have no idea what to do with a cup holder, but it's nice to have a place to put your water bottle. The 2.3-liter inline-4 made a little over 70 horsepower and put that power to the ground through a 4-speed manual gearbox with overdrive and a 2-speed transfer case. The seller here notes that the vehicle will cruise at 60 mph and that the transfer case does leak a bit. All vintage Land Rovers leak. It's how you know they have fluids in them. Beyond the general charms, the appeal here is the exacting and, frankly, exhausting level of restoration performed. This example has a new frame, an overhauled powertrain from gearbox to axles, fresh brakes, a stainless steel exhaust, rebuilt instrumentation, and a host of extras from specialist Rovers North. Judging from pictures of the underside, you'd think it was brand new. As it's so thoroughly overhauled, this could very well be the one true, reliable Series 2 Land Rover out there. But that's not really what's lovely about a Landy. The appeal is in driving a vehicle that needs a certain level of mechanical sympathy and a handiness with a spanner. They are such simple machines that it's easy enough to diagnose the latest stumble and then sort it out yourself, with the type of self-sufficiency that you might have needed to cross the Kalahari or navigate the Amazon jungle. As our journey with the 1970 Land Rover Series 2IA concludes, it's impossible not to feel a profound appreciation for its unique place in automotive history. The very idea of Land Rover as a luxury brand today would undoubtedly elicit a knowing chuckle, or perhaps even a brief bark of laughter from anyone who owned or relied on a series Landy back in its heyday. These vehicles were, and remain, the automotive equivalent of a sturdy Wellington boot, incredibly practical, resilient, and built for work, albeit occasionally and charmingly less waterproof than their footwear counterparts. While later models like the Series 3 might have been slightly less agricultural, this Series 2IA unapologetically embraces its basic utilitarian roots. Every element speaks of function: exposed metal, visible rivets, even wing nuts holding the windshield in place, and a series of rugged levers controlling the transfer case. It's a mechanical symphony of simplicity. And yet this classic isn't entirely stuck in the past. It seamlessly integrates a few thoughtful modern conveniences, like the Marshall speaker for your tunes and a custom cup holder arrangement. Touches that the original owner back in 1970 would likely have no idea what to do with, but that, undeniably, make today's adventures just a bit more comfortable. Powering this authentic experience is the venerable 2.3-liter inline-4 engine, producing a modest but reliable 70-plus horsepower, channeled through a 4-speed manual gearbox, with overdrive and a 2-speed transfer case. The seller notes it can comfortably cruise at 60 mph, though, in true vintage Land Rover fashion, the transfer case does leak a bit, a beloved quirk that, as the adage goes, simply lets you know there are fluids in it. But beyond these general charms, the true appeal of this specific example lies in the frankly exhausting, yet incredibly meticulous level of restoration it has undergone. With a new frame, an overhauled powertrain from gearbox to axles, fresh brakes, a gleaming stainless steel exhaust, rebuilt instrumentation, and a host of extras from specialists like Rovers North, you'd be forgiven for thinking, based on its pristine underside, that it was brand new. This comprehensive overhaul truly makes this Land Rover Series 2IA potentially one of the most reliable vintage Landies out there. But reliability, while certainly a bonus, isn't really what makes these vehicles so genuinely lovely. The enduring appeal is in driving a machine that demands a certain level of mechanical sympathy, a willingness to get your hands dirty, and a readiness for self-sufficiency. They are such simple machines that it's easy enough to diagnose the latest stumble and then sort it out yourself, fostering that very spirit of independence and capability you might have needed to cross the Kalahari, navigate the Amazon, jungle, or simply enjoy a true, unadulterated drive. This Land Rover is not just transportation. It's an invitation to adventure, to connect with history, and to embrace the old-school cool that few modern vehicles can emulate. What are your thoughts on this authentically old-school Landy? Do you prefer the raw simplicity of the Series 2IA, or the modern luxury of current Land Rovers? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into classic 4x4 culture, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more exciting automotive content, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next expedition. In the bustling digital marketplace of classic automobiles, where gleaming restomods often vie for attention, a particular vehicle stands out this week on Bring a Trailer. It's a 1971 Ford F100 pickup presented in a period-perfect two-tone green, and it offers something increasingly rare in today's automotive landscape: unpretentious authenticity. This truck isn't trying to be anything it's not. It's a pure, honest representation of a bygone era, and that's precisely its enduring appeal. The truck in question hails from the fifth generation of Ford's ubiquitous F-Series, a lineage that spanned the model years from 1967 to 1972. This particular period is critically important in the F-Series' storied history. It was the era when the F-Series was undeniably a real working pickup, a tool of the trade for farmers, construction, workers, and tradespeople across America. This was long before the F-Series transitioned into the multi-purpose personal transport behemoth it is today. a shift that saw it evolve from a rugged utility vehicle into America's favorite family hauler and daily driver. By the late 1970s, the Ford F-Series had already cemented its position as the best-selling truck in America. A mere couple of years later, it ascended to an even grander title, the best-selling vehicle overall in the United States. A remarkable distinction it has, proudly held for more than 4 uninterrupted decades. But to truly appreciate the 1971 F-100 on offer, we must rewind the clock to the very beginning of the 1970s, to a time when the F-Series was simply a truck, albeit a charming and undeniably robust one. This specific example, a 1971 F-100, Sport Custom, feels like a genuine time capsule, meticulously preserved and proudly displayed on Bring a Trailer, a platform that, like Car and Driver, is part of Hearst Autos. Its design is quintessentially 1970s American, with a square-jawed, handsome profile that exudes strength and simplicity. One could easily envision this truck taking on a prominent role in a contemporary Western drama, perhaps even stepping in for a certain recently departed Yellowstone lead. The visual appeal is undeniable thanks to its striking boxwood green over seafoam green two-tone paint scheme. This color combination is not just period correct. It's evocative, conjuring images of open fields, dusty back roads, and a simpler way of life. The truck's stance is further enhanced by its original steel wheels adorned with classic hubcaps. Crucially, the seller deserves immense extra points for resisting the ubiquitous modern trend of resto-modding. There's no exaggerated lift kit, no oversized aggressive wheels, and no low-profile tires here. This F-100 has been spared the contemporary modifications that, while popular, often strip away the original character of these classic vehicles. It looks precisely as it would have in 1971, a beautiful example of automotive preservation. Adding another layer of character to this vintage Ford is its origin story. This good old truck was sold new in Oregon City, Oregon. For those familiar with American history, Oregon City holds a special place. Situated just south of Portland, it famously marks the end of the legendary Oregon Trail. The town is steeped in the legacy of early American settlers, whose ancestors successfully navigated the perilous journey, bravely dodging everything from dysentery to difficult terrain, ultimately finding new lives in forestry and farming. It's a charming thought to imagine this robust F-100 rolling through a town so intrinsically linked to the spirit of pioneering and hard work. While a 1971 F-100 would undoubtedly have provided a vastly more comfortable ride down the Oregon Trail than, say, a cumbersome Conestoga wagon, it's important to acknowledge its inherent simplicity by today's standards. The Sport Custom trim, while a mid-tier offering, was still focused on practicality. The interior features a durable rubber floor, covering, designed for easy cleaning after a long day's work, and a simple yet comfortable bench seat, ideal for 3 abreast or simply stretching out. Modern luxuries are limited to the essentials for the era: a 3-speed automatic, transmission for ease of driving, power steering to tame the larger tires, and power brakes for confident stopping. The single concession to entertainment is an aftermarket cassette player, a perfect excuse to hunt down some classic Conway Twitty tapes to complete the authentic experience. Beneath the imposing hood of this F-100 resides a robust 360 cubic inch V8 engine. This power plant was a staple of Ford's truck lineup during this period, known for its ample torque and dependable performance, perfectly suited for hauling and towing. Importantly, the listing highlights that the truck has benefited from significant recent mechanical servicing. This isn't just a cosmetic refresh. Critical components vital to its continued operation have been addressed. The water pump, fuel pump, drive belts, and battery have all been replaced, along with various gaskets, ensuring the engine runs smoothly and efficiently. Beyond the engine bay, the care continues. The shocks have been replaced to ensure a comfortable and controlled ride, and the entire braking system has been thoroughly gone through with new parts, providing peace of mind for its next owner. The sum of this diligent maintenance suggests that this F-100 is not just a showpiece, but a truck that should drive as honest and reliable as it looks. At 54 years old, this venerable F-100 has certainly earned the right to a quiet retirement, perhaps as a treasured collector's item or a weekend cruiser. However, its practicality hasn't been entirely abandoned. The presence of a spray-in bed liner indicates that it's still ready and willing to earn its keep. This F-100 isn't just about nostalgia. It's still a capable vehicle that could easily assist around the house, hauling mulch for garden projects, or transporting supplies for weekend DIY endeavors. In a world increasingly dominated by complex, tech-laden vehicles, the enduring appeal of this 1971 Ford F-100 lies in its simplicity, its rugged honesty, and its genuine connection to a golden age of American trucking. It's more than just a pickup. It's a tangible piece of automotive history, a charming reminder of when trucks were built for work and built to last. For collectors, enthusiasts, or anyone who appreciates unadulterated vintage charm, this bring-a-trailer offering is a truly special pick.
In the golden twilight of the 1960s, America wasn't just building cars, it was building statements. Sculpted in steel and chrome, these machines were less about transportation and more about domination. At the center of this storm stood two giants: the 1968 Cadillac Eldorado, a radical front-wheel drive icon of American innovation, and the 1969 Lincoln Continental Mark III, Ford's answer to a luxury question Cadillac thought it had already answered. Two legends, born to rule, but only one would sit atop the throne. This is their story. By the end of the 1960s, the American luxury car scene was exploding. With over $2.5 billion in annual revenue, the market had become more than a niche. It was a battlefield. European. Brands like Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Jaguar brought finesse and engineering. But to American buyers, they felt cold, clinical, and cramped. Stateside, luxury was defined not by lap times or Nürburgring records, but by sheer presence, pillowy ride quality, and immense power underfoot. And on that stage, Cadillac and Lincoln reigned supreme, with badges that spoke louder than any price tag. But competition was rising. The Buick Riviera blurred the line between elegance and performance. The Oldsmobile Toronado brought bold engineering with front-wheel drive. Even the Ford Thunderbird, once a sports coupe, had ballooned into a four-seat luxury cruiser. In this heated climate, it wasn't enough to have heritage. Cadillac and Lincoln had to innovate or be outshined. Cadillac didn't flinch. It went radical. In 1967, it dropped a bomb on the industry with the Eldorado, unlike anything else on the market. Gone were the rounded forms of the past. In came a sharp geometric coupe that looked more like a concept car than a production model. But beneath the skin lay the real revolution: front-wheel drive. Using GM's experimental unitized power package, borrowed from the Olds Toronado, Cadillac engineered a layout that paired a 472 cubic inch V8 with a transaxle up front. It eliminated the transmission hump inside, gave better traction, and made packaging more efficient. This was the future, so much so that Cadillac engineers were already testing V12s and even a 530 cubic inch V16 prototype for the next leap. Though those monsters never reached production, the Eldorado made a clear statement: innovation and power could coexist. At Ford, one man saw Cadillac's rise as a personal challenge: Lee Iacocca. A visionary with a flair for marketing and design, Iacocca pushed the Ford design team to craft a vehicle that would not only compete with the Eldorado, but outclass it. The result was the Lincoln Continental Mark III, released in early 1968. And it wasn't just a new model. It was a mission statement. Built on a stretched Thunderbird platform, the Mark III returned to classic luxury roots. A 460 cubic inch V8 delivering effortless torque, rear-wheel drive for traditional ride dynamics, and a cabin dripping in real wood, rich leather and chrome accents. Lincoln didn't chase engineering flash. Instead, it doubled down on the qualities its buyers wanted most: isolation, silence, and status. The Mark III was smooth, sophisticated, and built like a bank vault. It wasn't trying to be the future. It was trying to be perfect. Naturally, the industry couldn't help but compare. In 1970, Motor Trend began a series of annual tests, pitting the Cadillac Eldorado against the Lincoln Mark III in a contest of performance, luxury, and style. Round 1. Acceleration. Cadillac's new 500 cubic inch V8 gave it the edge, pulling 0 to 60 in just over 9 seconds. The Lincoln? Respectable, but a step behind. Round 2. Ride and comfort. The Lincoln's rear-wheel drive setup and refined suspension soaked up bumps like butter. On rough roads, it was the car you wanted for the long haul. Round 3. Interior and fitment. The Mark III's interior wasn't just comfortable, it was opulent. Cadillac felt modern and clean, but lacked the warmth and craftsmanship Lincoln delivered. Round 4. Steering and handling. Surprisingly, the Eldorado turned in tighter and had a more connected feel thanks to its front drive layout and better weight distribution, and year after year the battle raged on. In 1971, Cadillac's redesign was met with mixed reviews, giving Lincoln the style advantage. By 1974, the Lincoln wasn't just prettier, it was faster, smoother, and crowned king once again. 1972 was the tiebreaker. Motor Trend doubled down, sending both cars on a week-long journey filled with highway runs, city commutes, and even owner surveys. Cadillac Eldorado excelled on the open road. Its straight-line stability, comfortable front seating, and massive torque made it a highway king. But in the fine details, Lincoln edged ahead. Its rear seat comfort, quiet ride, and long-term value retention made it a better overall package. While the Eldo was a thrill to drive, the Mark III, soon to be replaced by the Mark IV, was a more complete luxury experience. Result? Dead heat. Cadillac may have won the tests, but Lincoln won the hearts. Decades later, the Cadillac Eldorado and Lincoln Mark III are more than just vintage coupes. They're icons. When collectors Sandy Edelstein and Scott King brought both cars together in Palm Springs, something became clear. These weren't just relics, they were rolling expressions of ambition. The Eldorado still looks daring, angular, futuristic, commanding. It's a time capsule of a company pushing boundaries. The Lincoln, by contrast, feels regal, a car designed not to wow, but to impress quietly. In today's era of soulless SUVs and cookie-cutter sedans, these coupes are a masterclass in individuality. So, who truly won? The Eldorado was a technological marvel, proving front-wheel drive could work in a luxury coupe without compromise. The Mark III. It perfected what American luxury buyers wanted: comfort, class, and quiet dignity. In truth, they both wore the crown, in different courts. The Cadillac represented progress. The Lincoln, perfection. Today, they remind us of a time when luxury meant bold choices, not just options lists and infotainment screens. These were cars with soul, and the road was there. Kingdom, thanks for joining us on this journey through automotive royalty. Which one would you choose, the daring Eldorado or the dignified Mark III? Drop your pick in the comments. And hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the golden age of American steel. Until next time, drive proud.
Imagine going back in time to 1929. Bentley's supercharged 4.5-liter blower was roaring down British roads, smoking the competition and turning heads like few cars in history ever could. Fast forward nearly 100 years, and Bentley has brought it back. But there's a twist. This isn't the fire-breathing beast from Le Mans. It's smaller, it's electric, and it's, brace yourself, over $120,000. Bentley's blower is more than just a car. It's a piece of British motoring, royalty. Only 4 original team blowers were made for racing back in the day, and they've become priceless collector pieces, literally worth millions. But in 2025, Bentley is breathing new life into that legacy, not through fire and pistons, but through quiet torque and a battery. This is the Bentley Blower JNR, an 85% scale, all-electric reinterpretation of one of the most iconic cars ever built. A miniature masterpiece that blends old-school design with modern, eco-minded engineering. Now here's where it gets interesting. Despite being branded by Bentley, the Blower JNR isn't being built at Bentley's famed Crewe facility. Instead, it's crafted by Headley Studios, a British company formerly known as the Little Car Company. And if that name rings a bell, it should. They're the same team behind mini EVs like the Bugatti Baby 2 and the Ferrari Testarossa J. These guys specialize in premium scaled-down classics for adults who never outgrew toy cars. From the outside, the Blower JNR is jaw-droppingly accurate. Headley used a painted steel frame, aluminum body panels, and even a hand-formed hood. There's period-correct detailing everywhere, from the leather straps to the vintage-styled dash. But under the hood, or where it would be, things get more futuristic. You'll find carbon fiber components to reduce weight, LED lighting, and modern switchgear hidden within retro styling. All right, let's talk power. The Blower JNR is fitted with a 48-volt electric drivetrain producing a modest 20 horsepower. That's barely more than a golf cart, but this isn't about speed, it's about presence. Top speed? Just 45 mph? In Europe and the UK, and limited to 25 mph in the US. That's because it's classed as a neighborhood electric vehicle, NEV in America. Range? Up to 65 miles or 105 kilometers on a full charge. Not bad for a car this size. You won't be taking it cross-country, but you will turn every head on your block. Unlike Headley's previous models, the Blower JNR is actually fully road legal. That means headlights, indicators, mirrors, and yes, a license plate mount. During a recent first drive event in Jersey, UK, the car proved it could comfortably cruise through real traffic. Granted, the island has a 40 mph limit, but hey, that's perfect for this baby Bentley. Each Blower JNR is built by hand and highly customizable. Buyers can choose paint colors, leather interior trim, dashboard accents, and even number plate styles to make their mini Bentley feel one of one. And only 349 units will be made worldwide. That's not just limited, that's ultra-exclusive. And now, the elephant in the garage. The price. The Blower JNR starts at $90,000, which translates to about $121,000 in the US. Let that sink in. Over $100,000 for an electric vehicle that can't go on highways, doesn't have a roof, and offers no air conditioning or infotainment system. But that's not the point. This car isn't about tech. It's about the experience. It's for collectors, for Bentley fanatics, and for those who want to own a piece of rolling sculpture. Honestly, the Blower JNR isn't for everyone. It's not for commuters. It's not for performance junkies. And it's definitely not for anyone counting pennies. But for the enthusiast who values heritage, elegance, and exclusivity, it's a dream toy. Imagine pulling this out at a vintage rally, a concours d'elegance, or even just down a quiet country road. The Blower JNR is Bentley's past reimagined for the future, scaled down, electrified, and refined. It may only do 45 mph, but it delivers 100% charm. It's proof that not every EV has to be a tech-laden spaceship. Sometimes a little nostalgia goes a long way. Would you buy one? Or is $121,000 too steep for a slice of scaled-down history?
Welcome back to the channel, Vintage Truck Lovers. Today, we're diving into a slice of rugged Americana, a 1971 Ford F100 Sport Custom in a jaw-dropping period-correct two-tone green. It's currently turning heads on Bring a Trailer, and trust us, this is more than just a pickup. It's a piece of rolling history that defines what it meant to be a truck in a much simpler, more honest time. Let's rewind the clock to the early 1970s. Back then, trucks weren't about touchscreen infotainment or luxury trims with quilted leather. No, the fifth-generation Ford F-Series, built from 1967 to 1972, was unapologetically a workhorse. These were the vehicles that farmers, construction workers, and small-town business owners relied on every single day. The 1971 model year marked one of the last in this design run, and what we have here is a sport custom trim that perfectly captures the no-nonsense, blue-collar spirit of the era. This particular F100 is dressed in boxwood green over seafoam. Green, a striking two-tone combo that screams vintage authenticity. It's got the original steel wheels, factory hubcaps, and, most impressively, it hasn't been resto-modded. That's right, no oversized rims, no lowered suspension, no modern LED headlights, just good old-fashioned American steel in its original form, and that alone makes it rare. The exterior is all charm and simplicity. Its squared-off stance, clean lines, and modest chrome accents evoke a time when trucks were built for utility but still had character. You can almost picture this truck rolling through a dusty Midwestern town, hauling feed or tools in the back, getting the job done without complaint. Now let's peek inside. The cabin of this 71 F100 is exactly what you'd expect. Simple, rugged, and durable. There's rubber floor matting instead of carpet, a straightforward bench seat that's wide enough for three, and large analog dials staring back at you from a no-frills dashboard. There's no digital gauge cluster here, no heated seats, no backup camera. What you do get is a glove box vanity mirror, a 3-speed automatic, and an aftermarket cassette deck. That's it. And frankly, that's all you need in a truck like this. Pop the hood, and you'll find a 360 cubic inch V8, a stout and reliable engine from Ford's MEL family. It's not a race motor, but it's built to haul, tow, and last. With recent maintenance including a new water pump, fuel pump, drive belts, battery, and a full brake refresh, this truck isn't just a museum piece, it's road-ready and eager to get to work. That brings us to the real heart of this truck's appeal. Authenticity. This isn't a trailer queen built for Instagram. It's a survivor. And the fact that it hasn't been molested with modern upgrades makes it all the more valuable to purists and collectors. Even the backstory adds depth. This truck was originally sold in Oregon City, Oregon, the official end of the Oregon Trail. That's not just poetic, it's fitting. Because just like the settlers who made that treacherous journey west, this truck represents resilience, honesty, and good old American. Grit? It was a tool, a reliable companion through long days, heavy loads, and rough roads. Mechanically, this F100 is in excellent shape thanks to diligent upkeep. Not only has the drivetrain been refreshed, but new shocks and braking components have also been installed to ensure it rides and stops as confidently as it did in 1971. And while the bed now has a spray-in liner, a subtle nod to modern utility, it's still every bit the working-class warrior it always was. So what does this mean for today's market? Well, classic truck values have been climbing steadily. Clean, original F100s are becoming harder to find, especially ones that haven't been chopped, dropped, or chromed out beyond recognition. For collectors who appreciate originality, this is a gem. And while many F100s from this era were driven into the ground or repurposed into hot rods, this example has managed to survive with its soul intact. Sure, you won't be breaking any speed records in this truck, and don't expect 30 mile/h, but what you will get is a connection. A connection to an era when trucks were trucks, when steel was thick, and when simplicity was a virtue. Could this F100 be your next weekend cruiser, garage centerpiece, or even a light-duty hauler for home projects? Absolutely. It's got the looks, the history, and the mechanical integrity to back it up. But more than that, It has a story. And owning a truck like this means becoming part of that story. So tell us in the comments, would you preserve it, drive it, or put it to work? Does the honest charm of this 71 Ford F100 speak to you the way it speaks to us? If you enjoyed this trip down vintage truck lane, give us a thumbs up, subscribe for more classic vehicle content, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss a ride through automotive history. And there you have it, the 1971 Ford F100 Sport Custom. A truck that doesn't try to impress you with gadgets or speed, but instead wins you over with its honesty, history, and heart. It's a rare thing today. A vehicle that's as real as the people who built it and the people who drove it. In a world where modern trucks are more like tech lounges on wheels, this F100 reminds us what trucks used to be. Tough, simple, trustworthy. You turn the key, it roars to life. No screens, no sensors, just pure mechanical soul, wrapped in steel and sprinkled with just the right amount of 1970s charm. It's not just about horsepower or torque numbers with this one. It's about connection. When you slide onto that vinyl bench seat, grab that big steering wheel and put it in drive, you're not just operating a machine, you're stepping into a living story. You're experiencing a piece of America's working past. Now, whether you're a collector looking for your next prize, a vintage enthusiast who wants something real to cruise on Sundays, or just someone who appreciates old-school craftsmanship, this F100 checks all the boxes. And if you're lucky enough to snag one like this off Bring a Trailer, you're not just buying a truck, you're preserving a legacy. So before we wrap up, we want to hear from you. Would you daily this F100? Would you restore it or leave it just as it is? What's your dream classic truck? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from fellow gearheads, collectors, and dreamers like you. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend who loves vintage steel, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most iconic cars and trucks. Until next time, keep your tires aired up, your gas tank full, and your heart aimed toward the open road. Stay classy, stay chrome, stay rolling. Welcome, fellow adventurers, intrepid explorers, and purists of the authentic off-road experience. In a world increasingly saturated with sleek, sophisticated, and often overly luxurious SUVs, vehicles that boast more high-definition screens, and automated features than genuine off-road capability, there remains a steadfast beacon of true utilitarian heritage. Today, we're setting our compass and our sights on a vehicle that doesn't just define rugged simplicity, it embodies it. A machine whose very silhouette instantly conjures images of remote expeditions, untamed landscapes, and perhaps even the very image of royalty, like Queen Elizabeth II herself, confidently navigating the vast plains of the African wilderness. We are, of course, talking about the legendary Land Rover. For generations, particularly in the less developed corners of our planet, it is widely believed that the very first automobile many people ever witnessed was not a glamorous sedan, a powerful truck, or a gleaming sports car. Instead, it was this sturdy, boxy, incredibly resilient Land Rover, valiantly bouncing over unimaginable terrain, forging paths where none existed. This isn't mere folklore. It's a testament to Land Rover's unparalleled, no-nonsense design philosophy. These original series Land Rovers were meticulously built for one ultimate purpose: unwavering utility. They were rugged, yes, disarmingly simple, and crucially, and this is key to their enduring legend, if not always perfectly reliable in the conventional sense, then at least remarkably easy to mend. With whatever scraps, rudimentary tools, and ingenuity you had on hand, these vehicles could be coaxed back to life. They were the trusty steed, the indispensable companion for anyone daring to explore the most far-flung lands, much like the iconic plinth helmet and khaki shorts often worn by their intrepid, self-reliant drivers. The design of the Land Rover series has, over the decades, become an absolute icon. A shape so instantly recognizable, so enduringly charismatic, that it has been endlessly imitated, yet never truly replicated in its raw character. And while modern vehicles may draw inspiration, borrowing styling cues from this storied lineage, you simply cannot beat the authentic spirit, the raw charm, and the inherent capability of an original. Which brings us, with immense excitement, to today's star, this magnificent 1970 Land Rover Series 2EA, recently featured for online auction by Bring a Trailer. This isn't merely a vehicle, it's a meticulously restored slice of history, offering that stripped-down, unapologetically, old-school 4x4 experience that purists, adventurers, and collectors alike truly crave. From its unmistakable inboard headlights and rugged, ready-for-anything auxiliary jerry cans, to its classic roll-up canvas roof, this Landy has everything you could ever dream of wanting in a vintage expedition vehicle. It truly is the kind of machine that effortlessly transforms even a routine drive to pick up takeout into an exhilarating, small-scale expedition. Get ready to embark on a journey into true automotive authenticity and discover why the Land Rover Series 2A remains an enduring legend. Narrator: the very idea that Land Rover has evolved into what is now largely perceived as a luxury brand would bring a knowing chuckle, perhaps even a brief bark of laughter, from anyone who owned or relied on a Series Landian period. These vehicles were, and remain, the absolute automotive equivalent of a rugged, go-anywhere Wellington boot. Incredibly practical, supremely resilient, and built for purpose, albeit occasionally, and charmingly, a little less waterproof than their footwear counterparts. While the later Series 3 models might have introduced a few more creature comforts, making them slightly less agricultural, this Series 2IA is completely unapologetic about its basic utilitarian roots. Every element speaks of uncompromised function, from the honest exposed metal panels, to the visible rivets that bind its body, to the simple wing nuts holding the windshield in place, and the robust series of levers controlling the transfer case. It's not just mechanical. It's a tangible symphony of simplicity, inviting you to interact with the machine in a deeply physical way. And yet, even a purist's delight like this classic Land Rover isn't entirely stuck in a time warp. This comprehensively restored example seamlessly integrates a few thoughtful modern conveniences that subtly enhance the experience without compromising its vintage soul. You'll find a fantastic Marshall speaker, perfect for bringing your favorite tunes along for the ride, and a custom cup holder arrangement, a small but significant luxury. It's safe to say the original owner of this Land Rover, back in 1970, would have had absolutely no idea what to do with a cup holder, probably opting to simply secure their water bottle with a bungee cord or stash it under the seat. But for today's adventures, having a dedicated spot for your hydration is, undeniably, a very welcome touch. Powering this authentically old-school experience is the venerable 2.3-liter inline-4 engine. While it made a modest, little over 70 horsepower, this engine was renowned for its torque, its durability, and its ability to keep going, no matter the conditions. That power is delivered to the ground through a robust 4-speed manual gearbox, paired with an essential overdrive unit for more relaxed highway cruising. And, of course, the legendary 2-speed transfer case, offering high and low range for tackling any terrain. The seller notes that this vehicle will comfortably cruise at 60 mph, a testament to its restoration and the benefit of that overdrive. And in a charming nod to classic Land Rover tradition, they also mention that the transfer case does leak a bit. As any seasoned Landy enthusiast will tell you, all vintage Land Rovers leak. It's how you know they have fluids in them. It's part of the authentic character, a delightful quirk rather than a flaw. But beyond the general charms and characteristic quirks, the true, profound appeal of this specific Land Rover Series 2A lies in the frankly exacting, and indeed exhausting, level of restoration it has undergone. This isn't just a tidy-up, it's a comprehensive, frame-off rejuvenation. This example boasts a brand new frame, ensuring structural integrity for decades to come. The entire powertrain, from the gearbox to the axles, has been thoroughly overhauled, ensuring every mechanical component is brought back to peak condition. It features fresh brakes for reliable stopping, a gleaming stainless steel exhaust system that will last a lifetime, and meticulously rebuilt instrumentation that looks crisp and new. On top of that, a host of high-quality extras from the renowned specialists at Rovers North have been integrated, enhancing both its functionality and authenticity. Judging from the detailed pictures of the underside, you would genuinely think this vehicle was brand new, having just rolled off the Solihull production line. This level of restoration is truly a work of art, preserving the integrity of its heritage while enhancing its usability. As it's been so thoroughly overhauled, this could very well be one of the truly reliable, ready-for-anything series that own Land Rovers out there. But for many, that ultimate reliability, while certainly a huge bonus, isn't really what makes these Landies so genuinely lovely. The enduring, magnetic appeal lies in the experience of driving such a vehicle. It demands a certain level of mechanical sympathy, a willingness to listen to its nuances, and a comforting handiness with a spanner. These vehicles are designed to be simple, to be understood, and to be repaired by their owners. It's this inherent self-sufficiency that defines the Land Rover spirit. The ability to diagnose the latest stumble and then sort it out yourself, fostering that very type of independence and capability that you might have needed to cross the vast Kalahari, navigate the dense Amazon jungle, or simply enjoy a true, unadulterated drive through your local back roads. This Land Rover is not just transportation. It's an invitation to adventure, to connect with history, and to fully embrace the old-school cool that very few modern vehicles can even hope to emulate. And so, our captivating journey with this magnificent 1970 Land Rover Series 2A comes to its conclusion. It's impossible not to feel a profound appreciation for its unique and absolutely irreplaceable place in automotive history. The stark contrast between the original series Land Rovers and the perception of Land Rover as a luxury brand today is truly striking. This vehicle and its siblings remain the automotive equivalent of that sturdy, reliable Wellington boot. Incredibly practical, remarkably resilient, and fundamentally built for work. While later models, like the Series 3, perhaps offered a touch more refinement, this Series 2A unapologetically embraces its basic utilitarian roots. Every exposed rivet, every simple lever, every piece of metal speaks of its functional purpose, creating a mechanical symphony of simplicity that deeply connects driver to machine. And yet, this classic isn't entirely stuck in the past. It beautifully integrates subtle modern conveniences, like that Marshall speaker and the custom cup holders, making it perfectly adaptable for today's adventures without sacrificing its vintage soul. What are your thoughts on this authentically old-school Landy? Do you prefer the raw simplicity of the Series 2A or the modern luxury of current Land Rovers? We'd love to hear your insights, your memories, or your dream adventures with a classic Land Rover in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into classic 4-horsepower culture and the enduring legacy of the Land Rover Series 2A, please give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting automotive content. And be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next expedition. Imagine, for a moment, being transported back in time to the year 1929. The world was on the cusp of profound change, and on the hallowed asphalt of British roads, a mechanical symphony was unfolding. The air thrummed with the raw, untamed roar of Bentley's supercharged 4.5-litre blower. This was no ordinary automobile. It was a fire-breathing beast, a titan of speed that effortlessly smoked the competition, leaving a trail of awe and admiration in its wake. It was a machine that commanded attention, turning heads and igniting passions like few cars in history ever could. Its very presence was a statement of power, engineering prowess, and an audacious spirit. Now, fast forward almost a full century. We find ourselves in 2025, and astonishingly, Bentley has done the unthinkable. They've brought the blower back. But, as with all good stories, there's a fascinating twist, a contemporary reimagining that speaks to the shifting tides of automotive innovation. This isn't the formidable, smoke-billowing race car that once dominated Le Mans. No, this reincarnation is different. It's significantly smaller. It's unequivocally electric. And prepare yourself for this next revelation. It comes with a price tag that, for many, will induce a momentary gasp. Over $120,000. Is this simply an extravagant plaything for the ultra-wealthy, or is it a genuinely significant piece of modern motoring history? The Bentley Blower is far more than just a car. It is, unequivocally, a cherished piece of British motoring royalty. Its legend is etched deep into the annals of automotive history. Back in its heyday, only 4 original team blowers were painstakingly crafted for the brutal world of racing. These were purpose-built machines designed for one thing: victory. Today, those original 4 have ascended to an almost mythical status, becoming priceless collector pieces, literally worth millions upon millions of dollars. They are the unicorns of the automotive world, rarely seen, perpetually revered. But here in 2025, Bentley is not content to let that legacy remain a dusty relic of the past. Instead, they are breathing new life into it, not through the thunderous roar of fire and pistons, but through the serene, potent hum of quiet electric torque and the silent energy of a modern battery. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Bentley Blower JNR, an exquisite 85% scale, all-electric reinterpretation of one of the most iconic cars ever built. It is, in every sense, a miniature masterpiece, a sublime fusion of old-school, timeless design and cutting-edge, eco-minded engineering. It's a testament to the idea that heritage can evolve, that tradition can embrace innovation. Now, here's where the story of the Blower JNR takes an intriguing turn, adding another layer to its unique narrative. Despite proudly bearing the revered Bentley badge, the Blower JNR isn't being meticulously built at Bentley's famed Crewe facility, the hallowed grounds where some of the world's most luxurious automobiles come to life. Instead, its creation is entrusted to Headley Studios, a brilliant British company previously known as the Little Car Company. And if that name sparks a flicker of recognition, it absolutely should. This is the very same esteemed team that has captivated enthusiasts with their previous mini EV masterpieces, including the exquisite Bugatti Baby 2 and the captivating Ferrari Testarossa J. These artisans specialize in a highly niche, yet incredibly lucrative, market, crafting premium, meticulously scaled-down classic cars designed not for children, but for discerning adults who, quite rightly, never truly outgrew their love for toy cars. They understand that a passion for automotive excellence transcends size, and they deliver on that promise with unparalleled quality. From the very first glance, the Blower JNR is jaw-droppingly accurate, a testament to Headley Studios' unwavering commitment to authenticity and detail. Every curve, every line, every proportion has been faithfully reproduced. The chassis itself is a painted steel frame, providing a robust foundation, while the body panels are crafted from lightweight aluminum, meticulously shaped to mirror the original. There's even a hand-formed hood, adding to the bespoke craftsmanship. Period-correct detailing is abundant, creating a true sense of stepping back in time. From the genuine leather straps that secure the hood to the vintage-styled dashboard, every element screams historical accuracy. However, beneath this beautifully rendered vintage skin, or rather, where the supercharger and engine would have, once roared, things take a decidedly futuristic turn. Here, you'll find cleverly integrated carbon fiber components, strategically used to reduce overall weight and enhance rigidity. The classic headlamps subtly conceal modern LED lighting, providing vastly superior illumination without compromising the period aesthetic. And within the retro-styled interior, modern switchgear is discreetly hidden, offering contemporary functionality without jarring the timeless design. It's a masterful blend of the past and the present, where heritage meets cutting-edge technology. Alright, let's talk about the beating heart of this miniature icon, its power. The blower JNR is fitted with a 48-volt electric drivetrain, producing a modest yet perfectly adequate 20 horsepower. Now, some might scoff, noting that this is barely more powerful than a high-end golf cart. But this car, dear enthusiasts, is not about blistering speed or neck-snapping acceleration. It's about presence. It's about the sheer joy of piloting a scaled-down legend. It's about turning every single head on every single street you traverse. What about top speed? In Europe and the UK, the blower JNR can reach a maximum of 45 mm, a respectable pace for its size and intended use. However, for the American market, its top speed is electronically limited to 25 mm. This is due to its classification as a Neighborhood Electric Vehicle, NEV, in the United States, a category designed for low-speed urban environments. Range: you can expect to travel up to 65 miles, or approximately 105 kilometers, on a full charge. While you certainly won't be embarking on any cross-country road trips in the blower JNR, you will undoubtedly become the undisputed center of attention, on every block, in every neighborhood, and at every gathering you attend. Unlike some of Headley Studios' previous models, which were primarily confined to private estates or track days, the blower JNR holds a significant distinction. It is actually fully road legal. This means it comes equipped with all the necessary accoutrements for public road use, including functional headlights, clear indicators, rear view mirrors, and yes, a proper license plate mount. During a recent first drive event held on the picturesque island of Jersey in the UK, the blower JNR proved its mettle, comfortably cruising through real-world traffic. Granted, the island has a sensible 40 km/h speed limit, which coincidentally is an absolutely perfect match for the capabilities of this baby Bentley. It handled the flow of traffic with grace and composure, demonstrating its suitability for leisurely drives and spirited excursions on scenic roads. Each Bentley blower JNR is a masterpiece of bespoke craftsmanship, meticulously built by hand. This dedication to artisanal quality extends to an impressive array of customization options, allowing buyers to truly make their mini Bentley feel like a one-of-one creation. Prospective owners can choose from a vast palette of paint colors, select luxurious leather interior trim options, specify dashboard accents, and even personalize the number plate styles. The result is a vehicle that is not just a replica, but a unique expression of its owner's taste and passion. And to further enhance its allure and exclusivity, production of the blower JNR will be strictly limited to just 349 units worldwide. That's not just limited, that's ultra-exclusive, guaranteeing that this remarkable electric icon will remain a rare and highly coveted treasure for years to come. And now, we address the elephant in the garage, the aspect that often elicits the most discussion: the price. The Bentley blower JNR starts at a hefty $90,000, which at current exchange rates translates to approximately $121,000 in the United States. Let that figure truly sink in. Over $100,000 for an electric vehicle that cannot venture onto highways, lacks a roof for weather protection, and offers no air conditioning or any form of modern infotainment system. For the uninitiated, this might seem utterly perplexing. But for those who truly understand the blower JNR, the numbers tell only a fraction of the story. This car isn't about cutting-edge tech features. It's about the profound, unadulterated experience it delivers. It's for the discerning collector, for the passionate Bentley fanatic, and for those who simply yearn to own a piece of rolling sculpture, a tangible link to a glorious automotive past. Honestly, the Bentley blower JNR is not for everyone. It's certainly not for the daily commuter battling rush hour traffic. It's not for the performance junkies who demand blistering speed and track day capabilities. And it's most definitely not for anyone who is counting their pennies or prioritizing practicality above all else. But for the true automotive enthusiast who deeply values heritage, cherishes elegance, and demands uncompromising exclusivity, it is, quite simply, a dream toy. Imagine the sheer delight of pulling this magnificent machine out at a prestigio